What's going on, Illumineers, and welcome back to the Madhouse. And this video, I'm going to be talking about what I would be running if I was going to be competing in one of these two amazing events this weekend. This is tailored towards SteelSong. So, because honestly, that's what I would run. I love SteelSong. I think it's in a great place this weekend. I think we're going to see a lot of success with it this weekend. So whether maybe you're going to come meet me over at Safari Zone Collectibles, I promise we're going to be the next CCS of the Northeast, the next SSG of the Northeast. This is our beta, this is our practice, and it's going to be awesome. Or you're going to the CCS. Now it's a 12K. So huge shout out to them for a 12K. That's outstanding. So wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, I'm talking today SteelSong, what I would run. So I have 3 deck lists and why I might play one versus the other depending on how testing goes and things like that tonight, essentially, and tomorrow, early tomorrow morning. And we'll talk about it. We're also going to talk about, well, let's just jump into it. Let's just get right in there and we'll move to the next slide. Bang. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I think we're going to see. And there's a lot of different colors on here. So give me just a second. So first off, here on the left, what will the meta be? I think that the most predominant colors that we're going to see are going to be these 4. So blue, yellow, different variations, of course, amber steel, green steel, red, blue, and green, yellow. And I think those will be the most represented, but I do believe that we're going to see a higher number of purple steel, this amber ruby, and then amber steel as well. And I have over here red purple. I think we might see quite a few red purple show up as well. It's just one of those lists that never really goes away, no matter what you think. Ed just posted his kind of write up on how he would run red purple right now. And that might make even more people run to it. But looking at these, blue steel, you can't predict. If you see them ink a blue or a steel card and play a blue card, that tells you absolutely nothing about what their win con is. So be patient. See what they're doing. You do not know if they're going to be the item version, in which changes your gameplay as a Steel Song player. Are they going to be the Artifacts version? Are they going to be the Kiwi version? Are they going to be traditional? There's so many things, and it all changes things. If they're traditional, you played a lot of the same as the item version, just aggro the crap out of them. If it's the Artifacts version, if it's the Kiwi version, you're really going to want to get those Lawrences down. You're going to want to get, well, we'll talk about the different lists, right? So just be careful, okay? When you go into that blue steel game, when you're done with game 1, before they pick everything up, look at their discard, okay? Make sure you know what version they are on. The other colors are going to be amber steel, whether that is an aggro list, whether that is traditional. What I expect we'll see the most of will be Wochuk's version. Him, Wochuk, and Zach Bivens have really been showing off the power of no shift, and I think we're going to see a lot of it because it's been mainstream, and that's a big deal. We even saw Richie recently at the event. I believe that was the one, and he ran a no shift version. So I think that's what we'll see the most of, which for my traditional players is a good thing, I promise. Next up, I do think we'll see a lot of green steel. Green steel, we saw the power of it at the Hunter Burton Memorial event put on by 20 Lore, and it's a monster right now. And it's really annoying for SteelSong because that shift, you cannot stop the shift Pete from coming. There is nothing you can do because they play Pete and then they can shift Pete the next turn, and there's nothing you can do to prevent it. So that means they get this ability they could play a Prince John, and then they can go Pete, and then they can go shift Pete, and then seeing Bruno draw a card off of that, remove one of your characters. It's a stellar combo. So watch out for it because it's going to show up. It will be there. Red blue, of course, will definitely be there. Do not think for a second that they're not going to show up because they're still an amazing powerhouse. And the same goes for red blue as it does for blue steel. You have no idea what version they're actually running. So check their discard at the end of game 1, okay? Check it again at the end of game 2 if you didn't 2-0 them, because you need to see, were there any dimes that you wield? Were there any, big Tamatoas? Was there any B preps? Because there's a lot of red blue players that are not running B prepared right now. So that changes things up a lot. Are you holding on to Pete's when you don't need to? If they don't have Pirate's Life, if they don't have Be Prepared, quit holding on to the Pete. Quit playing that thinking, oh, I stopped your B prep when they don't even play it. We saw Ed's list last night doesn't even run it, right? There are red blue lists that are in the rotation right now with no B prep, with no Pirate's Life. So all you're stopping is a brawl, maybe? Like, so look at their discard. When you play wheel, you have so much power. You're almost making open deck lists because you can see everything they're playing, okay? So do not let them put their deck back together before you've looked at what's in it. Next up, I do believe we're going to see a lot of green yellow. These aren't in any particular order either. I definitely think these 5 will be the most represented, with blue steel being number 1, red blue being number 2, and then these next 3 kind of being, they're going to be right there with each other, right? So, but green yellow, there's going to be 2 versions. We want to see the aggro version. We want to see the version that's low to the ground, trying to beat red blue before they get there, while still being able to do the Chernodog ramp thing. We want to see them running piglets. We want to see Curse Merfolk, all those things that are just really easy targets for Let the Storm Rage on. If it's the big butt characters, make sure that you're saving those, make sure you're saving the strength and the low cost characters, or the Zeus and the Troubadours or Ursulas, because you can't let them get to those 4 characters and then cheat out that Tramp and then cheat out that Chernobogs or another Tramp. You guys saw it if you watched the Dick Burns game, or if you didn't and it was the SCL where Dick Burns was running it, you saw the combo go off really well. And if that happens to SteelSong, you just lose. There's nothing you can do. So what you have to be able to do is recognize what version they are and prevent that early Tramp cheating everything out. And to kind of tell you what happened is Dick Burns had those 4 characters. He cheated out the Tramp. Tramp then allowed him to cheat out another Tramp for free, which then allowed him to cheat out a Chernobogs for free, all in the same turn. If you're SteelSong, you lose. Like there's almost nothing you can do to a board like that. There are things, right? But it's tough. That's a lot of characters on the board with big butts, okay? So hope for the aggro. If it's not, do anything in your power to take out one of those characters to prevent that early board presence. The other thing is they can't challenge really well. All they have is Merryweather. Some run Cricky, but most of them, that are really trying to get the cheat out, they're running the Merryweather, so they can't challenge very well. So use that to your advantage as well. Purple Steel will 100% be there, no doubt in my mind. We see it. It won the Hunter Burton. It is a great deck. It has power into red blue, which makes it formidable. It has power into SteelSong because of Bounce Pete stuff. I was playing one the other day. They played 7 Pete's in a row, right? They had Pete's, they bounced Pete's. My hand, I took a screenshot of it, was like 3 Zeus's, 3 Let the Storm Rage Ons, and a Strength. So all I was doing was just waiting, because eventually they would run out, and they did. I cleared their board, quested out. It was a great thing, but do not get discouraged if they start bouncing Pete's, okay? That's not a game-winning thing unless it's really late in the game. If that's how they're using their early turns, you just develop your board, keep doing your game plan, don't turn sideways unless you have like a Lawrence down, and just chill, just relax, okay? Next up, Ruby Fossa. I don't think there's going to be a lot of Ruby. I don't think there's going to be a lot of Ruby Fossas or Ruby Steels. I really don't. But it's worth mentioning to make sure people remember that it's a deck that people love, and it's a deck that people will show up with. There are things that both of them can do that are just difficult, okay? We all know what a Ruby Fossa list looks like, but a lot of us don't know what a Ruby Steel list looks like. So go in there, just look up a couple. Go to Dreamborn, just check it out. Are they running a lot of rush characters? What are the big things you need to look out for? If they're playing a Thebes, then they're running a really greedy version, okay? So be prepared for, they might do some wacky turn where they gain like 10 lore, okay? Because of Thebes and Mushu and all this other stuff. Ultimately, you don't need to be super worried about either one of these, okay? If it's Ruby Fossa, make sure you keep that Zeus, make sure you keep that 4-cost Singer, and blow up their Gaston before they can do anything. If it's Ruby Steel, just blow up their characters. It's a character-based deck, and we love character-based decks that are not ward and things like that, that don't cheat out 3-cost singers on turn 1 that are 3/3s. We love those kinds of character-based decks. And if we see red purple, the list that we will most likely see will be one of two, right? Go check out Terrace Black on Twitter because he posted a list that he ran well at the SSC, SSG, the Southside Gaming 10 case, and he kind of put this red purple list on there that had a bunch of items. If that's the case, you're not upset. I've never felt bad into a location deck, and it's still just a location deck. It's still doing red purple things, and we just beat them because they're so slow. And then the other version, though, is the red purple version that Ed just popularized. That he put out an article on it. I'll try and link it in the description. Ed being the gentleman who's won twice now with red purple. He won the North American Championships, and he won one of the DLCs somewhere, Dallas Fort Worth, I think. And but it doesn't run foxes, it doesn't run goats, there's no bounce package in it, okay? So you need to know that that's also a list. So when you look at their discard and you see no foxes in their discard, no goats, no snakes, you know they're on Ed's list, okay? Or you have an idea at least most of their deck. So you don't have to play around, the foxes anymore and things like that. So look at those things. I'll try and get it in the description, okay? What we want to see. This is just my thoughts. I want to see blue steel items. The deck is nutty, right? The deck, if it high rolls, it just high rolls. It's like playing green steel when it high rolls. There's just not a lot you can do sometimes. But even when they do high roll, your whole new worlds are so unbelievably strong against blue steel. Like, and how I describe it is imagine playing SteelSong against red blue. And you whole new world a B prep, or you whole new world a big Sizu. Maybe you even hit 2, and you just feel so good. This huge weight off your shoulder, and life is just grand. Now, playing blue steel items, when you wheel a big crab, the big Tammy, the big Tamatoa, that feels even better because that is a huge win condition for them. Next thing you know, you do another wheel, you look at their discard, and there's 3 of them. At this point, you have to worry about 1 card in their deck. Okay. The deck, it's not an easy game to win. Okay. You have to time the wheels correctly. You have to interact with things because they can still get a bell down. Oswald can still cheat out, lucky dimes, and do not people will still run Oswald, okay? People are going to take Zan and Jeremy's exact list and run that because they've seen it succeed. The deck is strong, okay? I just think that of all the lists out there, SteelSong is one of the better lists into it. So we want to see that game, okay? Purple Steel, I've never been worried about seeing Purple Steel. I've always felt good into it. The new version has a little bit more reach with the goats or the cobras, but Cobra is just an easy target for literally any of our songs, except for World's Greatest Criminal Mind. But it's great target practice for like the Storm Rage on that would not normally be super useful. It's just you just play your characters, and if they're the doc version, you have to understand their aggro, but then they kind of murder the doc. Not don't we don't murder. Banish the docs. I can't believe I said that. We'll beep it, but purple steel, right? Find out, are they rabbit or are they doc? Okay, if they're rabbit, they're probably running something like Zeus, but most versions right now are on doc. I expect we'll see quite a bit of species list, so make sure you check out his storybook version and give that a look. Ruby Fossa, I already talked about that. Just 2-drop 4-cost singer and a Zeus, and you pretty much kind of just win at that point. Let the Storm Rage on is good to hit, their damaged characters. Ruby Steel, I already talked about that. Red Purple, look at the description for Ed's list. Look at Terrace Black, look at his list. Those are the 2 versions you'll most likely run into. Be prepared for a burn version, but those are pretty slow. And then green yellow, I feel really good into that. Like I said, as long as you can stop that like turn 4, turn 5 tramp, you're in a really, really good place. So again, just a 2-cost for 2-drop Ursula or Troubadour and a Zeus, and you're in pretty good hands at that point. So that was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but it kind of just turned into what do I want to do against these lists. And Yeah, I think this is what we'll see. Of course, the CCS, we always see some crazy off meta things. I think you could very easily see a location heavy deck, whether it be like a 28 location Amber Steel or the Green Steel Pirate list because Pete is just so strong, or even a purple steel with, a heavy location count. So be prepared for those as well. Just expect everything. At CCS, there's always something surprising. But like I said, these five will be the most represented. Blue Steel, I have no doubt, will be the most represented, followed by Red Blue, and then these three somewhere in there as well. So, with that being said, I have three lists to show off. These are the three lists that I think I would run, or one of the three, based off of testing the night before, that being tonight and being on the morning of. And I'll talk about the one I'd probably go with. But first up is this set 7 tester. This is traditional SteelSong. This is just doing what SteelSong has done for quite a while, right? Where we have the shift line and we're just trying to be explosive. And this is what I've been running the most of this set because I really love the shift version. I think what shift SteelSong does is just so incredibly strong, and the explosive turns are just so great. And I've played with a couple things. If you wanted to see a lot of my testing notes, find the link. I'll have the link in the description for this. Check it out. And a lot of the notes are in the info section on Dreamborn. And you can kind of check out my chicken scratch. But how things have gone is I tried playing with Sticky Mickey because Sticky Mickey guarantees you that shift line. And that feels really good because then you can sing the whole new world. You can sing the Zeus, things like that. And that does feel good. But Robinhood just wins you games. Sticky Mickey allows Whole New World, and it can win you games. Like getting Whole New World off is what wins SteelSong games more often than not. And Sticky Mickey allows that. Sticky Mickey, of course, is the Mickey Mouse with the Resist +1, and then the Playful Sorcerer that also has Resist +1. It's a 3/4/2, but it still gets banished by Zeus. And that is not my favorite thing in the world. Whereas Robin Hood, it takes two of their characters to banish. They can't banish it with Zeus. And I'm talking about Blue Steel. And you gain lore. So now they're afraid to quest. They can't quest because Robin Hood or Rapunzel can come down the next turn. You don't always get it done, right? You play Robin Hood, and unfortunately, they play Belle every single time, and they always have like the Storm Rage on, so it doesn't come off, right? And that's the risk you run. It's no longer a super guaranteed thing, but when you do get it off, Blue Steel kind of just crumbles. There's just nothing they can do to answer Robin Hood effectively, and you just feel really good. Whether it's the item version, whether it's the Kiwi or Artibax version, the game is just, in my opinion, over once you get that Robin Hood shift line down. But other than that, you still have the aggro of the 4 Daisy Ducks. I have played around with only 3 Cinderellas, and it didn't feel bad. I didn't hate it. The 4 Cinderellas just helps sure in those other matchups, right? Cinderella is not necessarily what I want to see against Blue Steel. If I'm on the draw against Blue Steel, whether it be Kiwi, whether it be any list, if I'm on the draw, I will keep Cinderella. And I will keep Cinderella because if they don't play Belle on turn 1, then I will play Cinderella on my turn 1. And if they don't, or if they do, then I can play Daisy if I mulligan into a Daisy or something like that. Or next, or turn 2, and then turn 2, you have the option to go double Robin Hood, and then you force them to have double Song. And if they have double Song, then that means they're singing with Belle to sing 1, and then on their turn 3, they're not playing a character. So they lose a lot of that tempo, and now you're going to 4 ink, so you could still do a lot of things, there's just so many options. If you did play Daisy on turn 1 and then double Robin Hood on turn 2, and then they blow up their turn going into your turn 3, they blew up both Robin Hoods. Okay, that's unfortunate. Maybe I play a Lawrence or a Pete because then on turn 4 I play Bianca. And now I have a 5/5 and they can't do anything unless they have Zeus because good morning, my beautiful Rapunzel. And they know it, we know it, everyone knows it. and it makes them play really slowly now, and they don't want to play slowly against us because our board can get so wide so fast. We have great trading power, and then of course we just have more songs than them. It's not much, but it is still more. The blue steel items version, when you run this list, you just want to go aggro. You just aggro the crap out of them. Troubadour still feels good because you just want the ability to control the bell, to control the Scrooge McDuck when it comes down, to control the Tamatoa. I'm not worried about the Flaversham because I'm just going to wheel. Draw all the cards you want. And if you do somehow start to control my board, then maybe I'm just gonna deck you out anyways. Is that 3 workshops? Sweet. Yeah, go ahead, draw too many cards, right? And skill level or skill gap them, things like that. So against red blue, this list is unfortunately not as strong as a no shift line version. I think the no shift line version is stronger against red blue, and we'll talk about that in a second, but you can still beat them. I still do it. It still happens. You still have 4 daisies. You still have the Pete or the Smees, the Lawrences, the Biancas, like, and it's still a good list by all means. Just again, check, do they have B prep? If you see no B preps in the discard and you played 3 wheels, there's a good chance they just don't have it. Okay. Joke with them and maybe they just reveal they don't have it. Now, it could be bluffing, right? But rely on the discard more than their honest word. Okay. So just options, things you can do. If they don't have B prep, you don't really need Pete unless you just wanted to stop their actions, which is still not a bad thing either. Okay. The only thing, this is the one thing I would consider, right? This is what I would consider and to make a change in that I would like a second world's greatest criminal mind. And the reason for that is solely because of green steel and solely because of Pete. I am scared of the shift Pete because when that shift Pete is exerted, it's essentially a 5/5. It's a 5/5 resist one, right? So Zeus doesn't banish it. You need a Zeus and a Let the Storm Rage on, and you can't sing them, so you have to play them. So now it's costing you 7 ink to do so. So that feels really bad. One option you could do is throw a Naveen in here. You could cut a Bianca for a Naveen, and Naveen can still play Zeus on the Pete because and so they take 5 damage, which doesn't feel bad because next turn you can, hard cast out the Storm Rage on or something, or challenge into it. Because remember, Prince Naveen does not sing that song when he comes into play. He allows you to play that song, okay? So that ignores the shift Pete line. But yeah, I've felt really good about this list. I am a huge Bianca believer. I was not in pre-release. I was not for a little while, but that 5/5 body is just a monster. It feels so good. If I was The other thing that I didn't have not had time to play with is cutting the Biancas and going full hard and full send into Auroras. But we'll talk about that in, I think, the next one. No, the last one. So, next up on our list is Aggro Song. And I've had quite a bit of success with this. And this is a little bit different than our normal version of Aggro Song. And it's a lot different than what I was first talking about. My first iteration of Aggro Song was really heavy into Gantus, the 4 cost and the 5 cost Gantu. The 4 cost Gantu being like it just acted as a second Pete essentially. You play that, now they can't now they can't sing, and then their items and actions cost 2 more, but they can still sing. And then the 5 cost Gantu just questing for a lot. So if you go something like Daisy, Penny, or Calhoun into a Lawrence, into a Gantu, or a Pete, into a 5 cost Gantu, there's not a lot they can do to stop that 5 cost Gantu from questing for 4. And then you already quested for a whole bunch with the rest of this. So it just I liked it, but the problem with the 4 cost Gantu is that was a lot of cards that only quested for 1. Ultimately, that's what it came down to. Between the Calhouns and the Peets and the Gantus. That was a lot of cards that only quested for one, and it wasn't feeling good. So for now, I've cut the Gantus. I've cut the 4 cost and the 5 cost Gantus, and I've opted to throw in the shift line. Again, me and shift lines. But hear me out. Like I said earlier, if you get a shift line Robin Hood down against Blue Steel, whether it be Artabax's version or Kiwi, you most likely have won the game. And it's not very difficult in this list, specifically because of Penny. When you're on the play, you go Robin Hood on turn one. They play Bell on turn one because they always have Bell, and they're snickering and they're super happy because they're going to let the Storm Rage on all over that Robin Hood. But then you play Penny. Penny comes down and gives resist +1 to Robin Hood, and now they cannot stop the Robin Hood. So what that means is that you're guaranteed your shift line. And sure, they can still sing Let the Storm Rage on the Penny if they really wanted to. So be it. That's your thing. That's your prerogative. But I get my shift Robin Hood down, and then I can just start doing some really nasty things that I just make for great turns. If, I could go Robin, if they blow it up, I drop Calhoun on 2, they blow up with Bell on my turn 3, I play Penny on Calhoun, Calhoun trades into Bell and doesn't get banished. And the Calhoun lives, right? So now they have to trade into something while you also still have a Penny on the field questing for 2. I've added Rapunzel Tower in. This list is essentially built just to aggro Blue Steel. It's just an aggro list that's going to survive better against Blue Steel. And that's the whole goal of this list. The binge is in there just questing for 2, answering items, slowing down Flaversham. The list has actually felt good. I I have a good success rate with aggro, but it never feels super good. I always miss my whole new world. But this list, it has felt good. If you like aggro, give it a try. Run it a few times tonight, run it a few times tomorrow morning. If you don't like it, go back to whatever you were doing or just run whatever you're trying to run. But this list, it has felt good. Again, focusing on Blue Steel and then even into Green Steel, there's less songs for them to hit with the Ursula, which feels good. If you get a Rapunzel's Tower down, Green Steel, even with the Ursula 3 cost, is going to have a hard time answering your characters. Your Calhoun becomes a 3/5 resist +1, and they just can't answer a 1/8 location. So now you're just doing these crazy, crazy things, and they're just like, okay, well, I'll discard your hand. Oh, you don't have a hand, and you top deck to dock. Great. How exciting for me. So it's felt really good. All right. It's felt really good. If you really liked Aggro Song last set, this is very similar, all right? It just a little bit different. Instead of just your normal 5-drop, running the shift line, lots of 1-drops to get, the Strength of a Raging Fire going, things like that. But Penny's felt really good. The only new card in this list, actually. But finally, the last one on the list is a no shift version. This is the one that I've played the least so far, but it has felt good. Again, no shift, kind of the whole premise of this comes from Wochuk's version of no shift. And the big difference here is you'll notice that I'm on Aurora's over Gaston's. When you go this route, you're in a really rough place against red blue. Aurora only has one attack, right? So one attack means baby Sisu food, brawl food all day long. They didn't see coil, so you're in luck. With that being said, if you guys saw Sailor's list recently, Sailor is now running coils and ice block. And Gaston just isn't as safe as he used to be. When they're on the play, they can brawl your Gaston before you get a chance. They can so that doesn't feel good. They can baby Sisu your Gaston before you get a chance the whole new world. So I've decided to say, you know what? I'm going to go harder into blue steel. And because if I know I'm against red blue, I could still try and play Aurora, or I can put my money on Miss Bianca and I can play a different 3-drop. I can, go a different line, and that's always an option as well. But Aurora has just felt so good into blue steel. She feels great into blue steel because of that 4 health, that 4 willpower. Thank you to whoever in the comments reminded me of that. But it's just felt good, okay? The 4 willpower is just that much harder for blue steel to handle. When you're on the play, there's just not a lot they can do, and that's a bad position for them. The other thing is Aurora quests for 2, right? When you look at Gaston, he's only questing for 1, and that doesn't feel super great because sometimes you're at a point in the game where you top deck them and you're like, "This is the worst card I could have top decked." I wanted to top deck literally anything else because he doesn't trade into anything and he only quests for 1. Whereas Aurora is Rapunzel food. She does quest for 2. Her effect does come into play. Like there's options. If you wanted to really utilize her effect more, one thing that's worked really well is just cut the Neverlands for pennies. And that has worked really well also because the penny also helps with their effect. Remember, whenever you remove 1 or more damage from a character, ready this character. She can't quest or challenge for the rest of this turn, but she can sing. So it's like Sven, okay? So you quest first and then you heal something and then you ready her and then sing Whole New World. Maybe you use her to attack into something, you heal her, ready her, sing Whole New World, whatever you want, right? There's options here. So that is an option is cutting Neverlands 4 pennies and maybe you do 3 pennies and get the 4th Cindy. So what's up with this? Why is there only 3 Cindys? Ultimately, it's because she's weaker into blue steel. Like I said, this list is built for blue steel. That's all it is. It's built to go into blue steel. That's why I'm on 4 Zeuses, because Zeus is just a powerhouse into blue steel. It's great into red blue, and that has been great. I like that a lot. Cindy just gets banished really easily against them. So Nala a little bit harder, and it's a great Rapunzel target. That's really all it is. And well, she's also an ally. So ally tag being helpful for Bianca because now you have your daisies, you have your troubadours, you have your Smees and Lawrence's all helping with that Bianca tag. So it's the list has felt good. All right. I will give credit where credit is due. The Neverlands are a sneaky way to gain lore that just people just misplay. They see that one lore location and they just freak out and they're like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm going to misplay all my cards now. And it just happens. So with that being said, this is the one I feel the best about. Like I've been a traditional SteelSong player for the longest time. I love shift lines. Next up, again, aggro has felt really good, and then of course the no shift version. But I would have faith in any of these lists. If I forgot my deck and someone was like, "Hey, I watched your video, but unfortunately this is the only one I brought," I would feel extremely confident running any of them. They've all felt really good. So with that being said, this video actually ended up being a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but I don't know. It was kind of fun to talk about just how I would play into these different matchups. So if that's something you guys did like, kind of that quick and dirty tips and tricks kind of thing, let me know and I could go more in depth into that, how I would play and key turns and things like that. I did that in the past. So yeah, let me know. Let me know if you liked that. But yeah, good luck. If you're going to the Safari Zone Collectibles 1K, let me know. Okay, let me know tonight or find me tomorrow. I'm going to be casting it. I'm super excited to meet everybody and see everybody. You have no idea how excited I am. It's just going to be super great. It really is. I'm excited for this to be. The store owner thought it was only going to be about 25 people. We're currently at 49 and I know we'd be at way more, but unfortunately CCS announced theirs a couple weeks after we announced ours, so we'll keep that in mind for the future. But it's going to be bigger, it's going to be greater. This is our warm up and it's only going to be more awesome, and it's just awesome. But we do have the CCS, so good luck to everybody that's going there. I know Markoth is going there. A bunch of the Illumineers are going there. Freddie's team, I know he's not making it, but he'll be down there. A bunch of guys from Baltimore are going down there. I think some TFM guys, like just a lot of people will be there. So good luck to all of you, and let me know. Let me know how things are going while you're down there. With that being said, I'm done rambling. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're running SteelSong, let me know, all right? Let me know what you're running. What version are you running? Are you running a no shift, an aggro, or the best one, the shift line? With that, ladies and gentlemen, remember, nothing else matters more. Stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you all around.